Berlin, May 1945. The Nazi regime finally falls after the death of its leader, Adolf Hitler. However, those who thought that the worst was over were completely wrong. Since ancient times, kidnapping, slavery in all its forms, and, above all, the suffering of women in the face of systematic rape have become synonyms of war. And this time was no exception. Throughout history, no victorious army has refrained from carrying out a brutal display of sexual violence, and to a greater or lesser extent, all the Allied forces demonstrated this after the war. The occupation of Germany was as cruel as the battle itself. More than 1 million women and girls were simply treated as living spoils, being subjected again and again to satisfy the pleasure of the soldiers. Many remained silent for many years out of shame, while some could not bear it and decided to end their lives. In this new military history video, we will learn all about the brutal fate of the victims who, simply because they were female, had to face hell at the end of World War II.
Los soldados entraron violentamente y nosotros nos quedamos allí sentados. Ya no sé si llorando o gritando, estábamos temblando. Entonces entró uno, miró a su alrededor, me vio y me llevó con él mientras mamá gritaba. Recuerdo exactamente cómo me tiró al suelo en el umbral. Y allí ocurrió todo. Solo escuchaba gritar a mi madre. Después las dos nos abrazamos y lloramos.
The testimony of Leonie Bialas, a German woman who was only 14 years old when World War II ended, is one of many women who shared the same fate. Only the actors, victims or perpetrators changed, since this terrible practice was not the work of a single army. This conflict had a great impact throughout the entire planet and mobilized more than 100 million soldiers from all sides. They committed themselves to fighting fiercely on each battlefield and were willing to give their lives if necessary. However, the main objective was the death of the enemy, and to achieve this they would advance with brutality, regardless of how many crimes were committed along the way. Of all these, sexual violence was one of the most common, and to begin to review it, we can focus on one of the troops that left the clearest example. We are talking about the Red Army, which even had the support of the Soviet leader, Joseph Stalin. When he heard in Moscow that the occupation of German territory included rounding up women and raping them in shifts by 10 or 12 soldiers, there was no reproach. In fact, he justified. They were boys who had traveled thousands of kilometers fighting, risking their lives. They had the right to have a good time with a woman.
A principios de 1945, el Ejército Rojo se encuentra ya a 80 kilómetros de Berlín y se prepara para atacar la capital alemana, donde aún viven casi 3 millones de personas. El pánico crece entre las mujeres. El suicidio se considera el último recurso para escapar del enemigo. En abril, el número de suicidios en Berlín alcanza un máximo de casi 4.000.
A young lieutenant in the Red Army, Vladimir Gelfand, left records that show how abuse affected women and why so many preferred death to being caught by the soldiers who were supposedly coming to liberate them from Adolf Hitler's regime. This soldier secretly kept a diary in which he wrote about his experiences of the war, even though it was not permitted by the Soviet authorities, so that there would be no evidence of what was done during the advance on Berlin. It was on these pages that he wrote about his experience on the banks of the Spree River when he came across a group of several German women carrying suitcases on their backs, leaving their homes with horror on their faces. When asked what was happening, they replied that they had been raped by Russian troops. They raped me all night. Some were old and others still had acne. They all climbed on top of me. They were in a line. I lost count, but there were no less than 20 men, said one of the terrified victims. This was how the Soviets took revenge on the Nazis who had invaded their territory years before.
La venganza es sin duda un motivo importante, quizá el más importante, pero hay otros factores en juego, sobre todo la cultura militar interna del Ejército Rojo. No se concedían vacaciones, había un gran número de bajas, escasa cohesión y mala dirección. Los oficiales y suboficiales vivían bajo una gran presión que a su vez debían transmitirles a los soldados, y para liberar esa presión les daban rienda suelta.
Although there are such analyses of the background to the conflict today, at the time, the suffering took the population by surprise, believing that with the end of the war on the horizon, everything would improve. There is a German expression that defines the new era that emerged after the fall of Nazism and the Allied victory, a radical break with the past called Zero Hour. It used to be thought that from that moment on, everything would change. But for that to happen, a lot of time had to pass. Too many deaths and unimaginable pain had to be endured. The inertia of devastation, horror, and the most inhuman acts took a while to stop. That 0 hour became a dark time for the Germans. It was not about the humiliation of defeat, or even the destruction of their homes and industries. It was much worse. 80% of their infrastructure was in ruins. The amount of rubble in Berlin was counted in millions of tons. A third of the houses were completely destroyed. The entire city was a gigantic, decaying fire. However, amidst the columns of smoke, the worst scene was that of the women suffering again and again at the hands of their brutal liberators.
La violación es un viejo patrón cultural que se repite en todas las guerras. El vencedor muestra así a los soldados enemigos que no pueden proteger a sus mujeres. Es una manera de despojar a los hombres de su honor como soldados.
The food shortage in the burning German capital was a big problem. But this warlike view of hatred towards the enemy meant that food was not the most precious war booty. What the victors were really fighting over was women. Berlin became a hunting ground for all women, regardless of age. Soviet soldiers dedicated themselves to raping them under any circumstances. Even if they were teenagers, adults, elderly, strong, or sick, they were subjected by the combatants who joyfully celebrated each of these violent acts. From 12-year-old girls to 70-year-old women suffered equally, and more than 10,000 of them ended up dying because of these acts, either because of the aggressions received, because of complications with abortions after bearing children of their abusers, or if they could not find comfort for their body and spirit in the face of the atrocity, deciding to end their lives. The stories surrounding these crimes were incredibly brutal. Many of the German women tried to appeal to the compassion of their commanders, confessing that men from their battalion had attacked them. They showed their torn private parts, their underwear stained red with blood, and in the worst cases, they showed how their friends or relatives lay naked on the ground, mutilated. However, the high command turned a deaf ear, and this led to the victims beginning to remain silent.
La mayoría de las mujeres probablemente nunca hablaron de ello ni siquiera con sus esposos cuando más tarde estos regresaron de la guerra. Por otro lado, el golpeado aparato estatal no podía ocuparse de este asunto. Ni la policía ni los tribunales alemanes tenían manera de actuar, por lo que tampoco existía un registro sistemático de los casos.
Se calcula que entre verano y otoño de 1945, al menos 110.000 niñas y mujeres fueron violadas solo en Berlín. Muchas de ellas más de una vez, pero esta cifra es solo un cómputo aproximado.
The Red Army's top brass were complacent about these aberrations. There were no orders, but there were no punishments, and no will to stop the chain of atrocities. Some historians maintain that there was a grace period in which anything was allowed. The repression and punishment of rapes took months to arrive. Meanwhile, the soldiers' tactics to achieve their horrendous objectives were changing. The victims were not always taken by force at the first moment. On several occasions, the Soviets arrived at private homes with food, and the hungry women opened the door for them, cooked, and then shared a pleasant dinner. After pretending that everything was fine, the soldiers tried to get closer as part of a natural situation, but if anyone refused, the owner of the property was sexually abused. This is how many German women ended up being caught, although experts say that it is rarely talked about.
Yo era un botín de guerra. Un verbo expresaba todo el horror vivido. Me tomaron. Decíamos siempre que hablábamos de ello. Tú misma te sentías culpable y sucia.
En general puede decirse que apenas se habla de que todos los soldados cometieron actos de violencia sexual.
The Soviets harbored hatred for the Nazis. Any revenge against them seemed appropriate, and nothing was excessive. They were convinced that the Germans deserved the worst punishment, and in response to this brutality became the norm. Faced with this, women had to learn to disappear during hunting hours. Little girls remained hidden in the safest corners of their homes for days on end, and their mothers went out to do their business only early in the morning, when the soldiers of the Soviet Union were sleeping after getting drunk the night before. Another attempt to escape violence included dirtying their faces and trying to deform them while walking down the road dressed in rags, hiding their entire body from head to toe and limping. There were those who covered their skin with red dots pretending to have an illness. All were valid alternatives to avoid the brutal enemy. However, the greatest danger was often that a woman desperate to save her daughters would reveal the hiding place of other girls. Everyone did everything possible to survive, because the tragedy reached them all.
Fue una catástrofe extendida a todo el territorio y que afectó a toda una generación.
Vamos, mujer, a darle. ¿Cuántas veces me dijeron eso hace 70 años?
All strategies to try to escape from the aggressors came to an end when a group of totally drunk soldiers wiped out anyone in front of them. Another weak point in the Germans' thinking was the management of drinks. The Nazi leaders had decided not to destroy the country's alcohol reserves when they retreated to Berlin. The hypothesis they were working with was that the Soviets, with their cultural propensity to drink, added to the long abstinence, would quickly end up drunk, and their combat capacity would decrease significantly. They believed that this was their chance to beat them, but the calculation, once again, turned out to be wrong. Those drinks taken without control made the situation much more difficult to handle. However, despite the fact that this generated great fear in the German women, we must understand that it was not only the Red Army that was behind the hell that women lived in this territory. Each one of the Allies was part of the enormous atrocities.
Teníamos mucho miedo de los soldados, de que vinieran los soldados rusos. Habíamos oído cosas terribles y esperábamos que los estadounidenses llegaran antes que los rusos.
At this point, we must bear in mind that war causes a dehumanization in all the protagonists. The idea of good and evil disappears into a dense gray, which makes even the most aberrant seem logical or proportionate to the context. The resentment for the damage caused became a driving force for revenge, while the greatest instinct for survival also played its part. This can be easily illustrated with two examples. On the one hand, observing how all the members of the Allied forces who witnessed the ferocious rapes not only accepted them, but encouraged them. And on the other hand, seeing that the victims' own compatriots, scared to death and afraid of reprisals, did not help the women who suffered the serious abuse in the least. At the same time that all this was happening, that cruel revenge continued, no matter which of the protagonists it came from.
Dos jóvenes estadounidenses Aparecieron en nuestra casa. Vieron a mi madre y a mi hermana e inmediatamente se lanzaron sobre ellas.
The Americans were quick to join in the atrocious practices displayed by the Russians, and for the female population, there were no longer any saviors. It was a difficult idea to assimilate, but there was no longer any preference for one army or the other. They knew that any enemy who set foot on German soil would only be accompanied by tragedy and pain.
Lo cierto es que tanto en el Ejército Rojo como en el estadounidense prevalecía una imagen de depravación moral entre la sociedad y las mujeres alemanas. Eso pareció justificar el hecho de que no se aplicaran estándares éticos al tratar con ellas.
While the Soviet atrocities were largely committed in Berlin, those perpetrated by the Americans took place in other regions of Germany occupied by the Allied forces. In this case, we can learn about the case of Margot, a woman who only at the age of 80 dared to tell her daughter, the journalist Maximilian Heigl, what she had witnessed as a child. According to her mother's account, it was April 1945 when the American army arrived in the Bavarian city of Landshut, after having previously bombed it. The soldiers arrived amid gunfire, and from then on the abuse began. Margot was only 4 years old, but the terrifying screams were stored in her memory, as much as the event she had been involved in. At that time, as all the men had been recruited into the German forces, the women lived together, without any male presence. When the bombings began, the little girl had reached a shelter next to the church with her mother, that is Maximilian's grandmother.
Cuando los estadounidenses tomaron la ciudad, varios soldados fuertemente armados entraron en la casa. La registraron de arriba a abajo. Y en uno de los dormitorios encontraron un uniforme del ejército alemán colgado de una percha en un armario. Entonces les preguntaron dónde estaba ese hombre, dónde estaba ese soldado. Entonces comenzaron a ponerse cada vez más agresivos y llevaron a las mujeres al dormitorio. Una vez allí, uno de los soldados tiró a mi abuela sobre la cama e intentó desnudarla.
Margot did not speak about it for decades. Her family was forbidden to mention what had happened in 1945. But when she did so in front of Maximilian, the story of her grandmother's rape motivated her to investigate further about the American occupation of Bavaria. So she began to look for witnesses from that time, especially in small towns. However, she quickly came up against a wall of silence. She knew that there had been abuse in those places, but no one was willing to talk about it. The shame about what had happened was still present despite the years, but added to that was the pressure exerted by countries to deny the accusations, such as the Soviet Union, which claimed that it was all a smear campaign. Faced with this, once again the only way out for the victims was silence.
Según mis estimaciones, como mínimo hubo unas 900,000 víctimas de violación. La cifra exacta de violaciones puede ser mucho mayor, porque muchas víctimas fueron violadas en repetidas ocasiones.
Violadas por soldados aliados en las primeras semanas y meses tras la capitulación de la Alemania de Hitler, abusadas por quienes llegaron como libertadores, soldados estadounidenses, británicos, franceses y soviéticos.
A clear example of this situation occurred in the region where the French troops were located. The French had the same feeling of revenge as the soldiers of the Soviet Union. They had been attacked by the Nazis, and their women had suffered the same abuses by the Germans. For this reason, they felt that their actions were more than justified in the search for a balance in the war. without thinking about who was paying the consequences of the decisions that Adolf Hitler and his commanders had made. After the French carried out their revenge, the credibility of the victims was put on the table.
Se estima que varios miles de mujeres fueron violadas en la zona de ocupación francesa. Para el verano de 1945, como muy tarde, las consecuencias de esta violencia sexual eran patentes. Muchas mujeres quisieron abortar. Sin embargo, para ello debían haber denunciado antes la violación. Un ginecólogo formuló esta queja. En la mayoría de los casos, las mujeres no han hecho una denuncia oficial por vergüenza y miedo a la deshonra. Como resultado, en casi todos los casos fue necesaria una investigación tremendamente larga para distinguir los casos de violaciones reales de los falsos casos de violación.
While the French and Soviets sought excuses for their behavior in the Third Reich's pre-attack, the other Allied forces used other means, but the result was always the same. In the case of the US troops, they crushed the enemy, basing their actions on the treatment their compatriots had received during the war or when they were captured.
Los datos indican que los lugares más afectados por la violencia sexual de la guerra fueron aquellos en los que hubo una feroz resistencia contra la ocupación. También está el caso del pueblo de Moosburg, donde había un gran campo de prisioneros de guerra. Allí los soldados estadounidenses pudieron ver cómo habían sido maltratados sus camaradas prisioneros en Alemania. Eso pareció desatar una rabia particular entre los soldados estadounidenses, y hubo un número muy grande de agresiones sexuales, realmente sistemáticas.
In many of these cases, the passage of the Allied forces also left stories of pain of another kind. As a result of the constant abuse, many of the women ended up pregnant. This caused that suffering to be exponential, since they would have a child who would remind them for life of one of the most atrocious events they had to suffer in life. Faced with this, the victims generally tried to have abortions, but in doing so, they put their own lives at risk. For this reason, on other occasions, they simply gave the children up for adoption. An example of this last alternative is that of Konrad Jahr. The United States forces occupied the city of Altenburg, and after 3 months of tormenting the German women who lived there, they left. However, they left their mark.
9 meses después, nace Konrad Jahr. Su madre lo entrega recién nacido a una familia. A los 8 años, la hija de esta familia le cuenta la razón.
He told me that the Americans had been in Altenburg in 1945 and that my mother had been raped by one of them. He told me, "That's your father, that's how you were born." Stories like this are shocking, as they not only affect the life of a person who had to endure the most abhorrent crimes that could be committed after the war ended, but they also mark the next generation. Konrad Jahr spent several years feeling different from others, which had an impact on his behavior during his youth, and when he learned his true origins, it was only to realize that he was haunted by a grim and brutal story from dark times.
He pasado 40 años buscando mi identidad. Es una locura pensar que esa violación fue lo que me dio la vida.
In this way, we approach the end, with the experience recounted by some of its protagonists, who lived through one of the most atrocious episodes surrounding the Second World War. The death of Adolf Hitler, or the atomic bombing of Japan, may be key events for the end of the conflict. But that 0 hour that the Germans talk about did not work out as they expected. The crimes extended for much longer, and rapes led that sad scene. The conquest of Nazi territory is simply summed up in abuses, in choosing between giving in or dying, in frightened compatriots who looked the other way, and the only thing they hoped was that the brutality would pass quickly and as far away as possible from the women in their homes. Meanwhile, the victims of the new stage of the war were the same as always, and the methods of torture had not changed at all. It did not matter if it was the regime of the atrocious Führer or the supposed liberators, it was always the same end for women. Most of the younger women were unable to overcome the psychological debacle that befell them. Mothers, whose main concern was their daughters, overcame the scorn more easily by turning their minds to the care of their girls. Others tried to forget the experience, and many of them were unable to get the idea of suicide out of their heads. The rapes were a mark of the greatest horror of the conflict, and this had to be faced together in order to move forward. But on the contrary, those terrible acts of cruelty were kept hidden in the dark with the help of the armies and authorities of the different countries. This only served to worsen the pain of the women who could not speak of their suffering for decades. In conclusion, the Soviet, American, French soldiers and the rest of the Allied troops were more than vengeful and found the perfect excuse to turn the German women into their spoils and satisfy their sexual instincts. This is how another of the most savage pages of the war was written. Now, yes, the time has come to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in our next military history video.